This is
very
fine.
excited as well. So I
Yeah,
think we'll start in like maybe 1 minute just to get people situated. And, those that want to turn on their videos, feel free to turn on your video.
yeah. Everyone before we start speaking, don't feel scared to say hi,
And just say
Make
hello.
sure make sure that I'm not presenting to bots. Some of you look like AI.
You look like an AI.
I am.
No, we're just intimidated. You guys are looking so professional.
I know, right?
I didn't know what the vibe was. I didn't know.
So you can drop in the chat what school you're joining in from.
Oh
I
yeah,
think
that'll be
we
helpful.
have like a lot of different institutions represented in the house. I'm coming from the one and only Johnson C. Smith University. Go
Whoop,
Blue.
whoop.
I don't know about Kutemwa. You coming from any school?
See, the name of my school is long. I've been typing for the past, I don't know. It's Xavier University of Louisiana. Woo. I graduated, but I'm still claiming the school because I'm too attached. I'm in denial.
It's still yours.
Yeah, she's a big girl now. Don't play with her.
Don't play with you guys. I am very new. I'm a new fish in the sea.
One of my brothers is like, Kutema, Kutema, that's my icon.
Oh,
She's all
Hmm
she's my
is there
icon too.
someone else? Is there someone else named Kutemwa?
So out here behind the scenes, you're inspiring people, girl.
And you guys are inspiring people too. Haven't you just seen the people in this session? I'm sure they just saw the speakers and they're like, yes.
They're just here for you, Kutema, to be honest.
Okay.
But yeah, it's great to see new names.
So I'm not sure if everybody in here is New Seasons, but if you are not, this is a New Seasons Youth Program workshop. The New Seasons Youth Program is a nonprofit organization that was designed to provide quality post-secondary education in the United States to deserving academically gifted youth and young adults from Africa and the Caribbean. So, welcome to our New Seasons Youth Program workshop. This is going to be the life after college. I don't know if y'all can see my background. I did a little something right there. So, we're gonna get right into it. So we respect each other's time, and we can get the train moving. So, give me 1 second. Um, so our first speaker is going to be Mphande Phiri. Mphande Phiri, originally from Mufulira, Zambia, is a graduate of Alabama A&M University, where she studied electrical engineering with a concentration in computer engineering. At AAMU, she was involved in multiple organizations and projects, and notably served as Queen of International Students. Okay, Queen! And president of the Institute for Electrical and Electronics Engineers Student. She is currently working as an analyst at Goldman Sachs. Outside of work, among other things, she enjoys
Oh no.
Sudoku, loves a good Sunday brunch, and and she's an advocate for traveling and trying out new things. And she just added skiing to her list. I don't know about black people and skiing, but you will not find me on no skis. So, Mphande, thank you so much. You can take it away.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction. So I think she's pretty much said it all. I went to Alabama A&M University, the illustrious, let's not forget that part. It was amazing. Literally today and every other day, I wish I was back in college because life outside is something. It's not that hard. I know we're here to talk about life after college, but it's not that easy either. So it's two ends, like, a double-edged sword. You take what you give outside school, but school prepares us for this, right? Our communities prepare us for this. We didn't travel all the way to come here and complain about life. We're here to make our lives better, the lives of our families better. But anyway, if at any point you have any questions, or I think there'll be a Q&A after, write your questions down for me and I will answer them. Mainly, I'm going to talk about the two most important things I wish someone had prepped me for. So after graduation, now it's been about, I'll say, a year and a half since I graduated. I interned at Goldman Sachs in my junior year, and I got the return offer in Salt Lake City. That's why I went skiing, because I was in Utah. I had to. Right after graduation, of course, I joined full time as an analyst. So I was, or I still am, in asset wealth management in the asset servicing team. So just to give you a brief on what we would do, we would process corporate actions for all our stakeholders. If you don't know what corporate actions are, mainly people who own any stocks, investment stocks. When you hear of the big events going on with NVIDIA, Apple, any type of share, they have a stock split, they have dividends. We were processing all those for the various accounts that we hold, which would range anywhere between 2,000 accounts to 50,000 accounts. So I did that for a year and a half. I had an amazing team. I don't know if the pictures are going to be shown. I sent them to the host. I was in a lovely team, the same team I interned on. They were very supportive. I won't say it was the easiest thing being out in corporate. Coming from Alabama A&M, which is an HBCU, we come from Zambia, which is Zambia, right? Go to Alabama A&M, it's a new culture shock. Then going to Utah was another culture shock, because now I'm like the minority. Even if I was still the minority in college, but this is a different type. So initially, I was in my shell. I won't say entirely, but just because I'm an extrovert, but getting comfortable in a space, you need to market yourself. You need to make sure you have good connections. So that's the first thing I'm going to talk about, networking. So initially, because Goldman Sachs has a great Black network, they made sure to check on us. They made sure we had mentors. They made sure we had people all the way, which is good for us. But for people who don't have that, and even if they help you, you still need to do most of the work. They're going to help you connect with people, but then you need to be able to push yourself, put yourself out there and talk to people, network. Because this isn't just helpful in terms of, oh, sorry for my voice. It's not just helpful in terms of knowing people, they can help me with a job or something. No, they will help you build yourself. And one thing someone told me, one of my mentors, was you need to let people invest in you. You don't just meet someone and say, oh, yeah, I know that person. Oh, yeah, I know that person. These people need to be invested in you. They need to want to see you grow, because once they're invested in you, they're going to help you every step of the way. Which brings me to where I'm at now. So a month ago, I moved to Dallas. So I'm currently in Texas. I switched roles because I'm an engineer at heart. Finance was not given. So I moved to the business intelligence team within asset wealth management. So that's what I'm doing right now. It's only been a month and I'm going through the same thing I went through when I just joined. So I have to market myself all over again. I have to network and I have to meet people. And it's not the easiest thing, but because I went through it the first time, I know what to do and what not to do. I know how to read people, which is another thing you have to do. You can't just go around, especially that even if we're African and still Black, you can't just go around acting crazy like you want everyone to know you. You need to build the foundation. You need to go in slowly, transition. And these practices start in college. If some people are in college, you start networking with your professors. They're invested in you. They want to see you pass. They want to see you grow. You take that same energy and put it in corporate, right? Or wherever you're working. You network with people, make sure they're invested in you. That's the main word for today's invested in you, right? And after that, it all works out. Okay. So so that's where I'm at right now. And my networking and my connection has brought me here. And I'm so glad because without those skills, and which you need to practice at the same time, it's different the way we talk to different people, you know, other people. And you find that it could be little things, it could be big things. Some people will like a technical person, some people will like a people person. Your energy, they'll try to determine that. And you can't be fake because once they clock that T, it's over with. They're just going to be like, oh, yeah, she is she is just trying too hard. You can't do that. Just be natural, don't stress yourself. It will come to you, but it's a learning process and you need to practice that from wherever you are at now. So that's my first thing. I hope I didn't go over time or anything. The second thing I'm mainly going to talk about that I wish someone had prepped me for is finances, budgeting. So from college, mind you, credit cards are a scam. Let me say it now. Don't get credit. Well, you need them anyway. It's America. You need to build a credit score. But then don't go too crazy on it, especially if you're in college right now. If you're given a credit card limit 2,000, don't even use it. Just use $5 a month. Like those are the biggest things that will bring you down. And later on, you realize how important it is that you budgeted, right? So coming here, um, I don't know if I can say this, but if I didn't plan right, I wouldn't have had enough money to move all the way from Utah to Texas. And if I didn't think of this early, because I won't say my finances have been perfect, because like she said in the bio, I love traveling. I love a Sunday brunch. I am always wanting to be outside there, trying new things, eating, traveling. But this year, I haven't even had a trip because I had to move here and I have to weigh my priorities. And I'm like, okay, I knew this last year. I think going into December, I was like, okay, next year I'm going to be making a big move. I can't do anything. And even if it's sad for me right now, even when I go to work, sometimes I feel burnt out because I'm like, oh, I haven't had a break. I haven't had a vacation. But I look at the bigger picture. I want to travel to Zambia in December. I need to save for that, right? I potentially, the whole OPT situation, we don't know what happens. I'm going on my 3-year mark next year. I need to save for that. And I wish I had this mentality when I was in college. I'm so proud of students I see in college right now, my friends who are able to buy cars. I didn't have those people around me when I was in college. So I wasn't pushed to do that. All the little money I had, I was spending it, getting clothes, going, traveling, Miami, hey, doing this. But then if I had these people around me who I see now, I'm going to mention one person, Prosper, even if he's not here. If he was next to me at that time, I know he would have pushed me to do what he was doing. So at the same time, if you want a car, if you don't want a car, it doesn't matter. But those are things that you can pick up from the people around you, which again, I mentioned connections and networking. So your circle matters. Don't just make friends for the sake. Make friends again who you can invest in, they can invest in you. You can learn something from them, they can learn something from you so that they help you even in these budgeting situations, even in money situations, people you can talk to, people you can get advice from. Because I feel like money is one of the most important things out here. So that's mainly it. If any questions, please let me know and I will hand it back over to the host.
Thank you so much, Mphande. That was amazing. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for sharing the tips that you gave us. So we're going to quickly move on to the next person so we have enough time for questions. So the next person is one of my favorite people in the whole wide world. Tanaka Mbavarira is the New Seasons Youth Program alumnus and graduate of the one and only Johnson Crane Smith University, Bull Pride, who majored in computer engineering with a minor in mathematics. Originally from Bulawayo, Zimbabwe, Tanaka has always been passionate about innovation, technology, and discovering entrepreneurial opportunities. Tanaka was named a University Innovation Fellow by Stanford's University Hasso-Platter Institute of Design program. Amongst other things, he was on the leadership board of NSYP, Nobishe, and ISA in various capacities. He is currently employed at Compass Group USA as a data engineer. In his free time, he enjoys learning about the arts, history, and anything that piques his interest. And he also enjoys going on hikes in nature. Even though he's never taken me on a hike, but apparently he enjoys it. So, Tanaka, feel free to take it away.
Hey everyone. My name is Tanaka, alumnus of Johnson C. Smith and alumnus of New Seasons Youth Program. I'm going to share my screen, because can you see my screen? You know that corporate thing. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, we can see it.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, we can see.
great. So I am going to mainly, made this presentation just as a guide. I like how the previous speaker, Mphande, talked about some of the things I'll touch on in my little talk here. So I'll be pulling from her story while also adding points. I see Mphande talked about a lot about leveling up for the workplace, networking. So I think I'll start with something she didn't talk about. And this is mainly for students in the USA, which I hope everyone on this call is. So I'll talk about three things: CPT, OPT, STEM OPT, I-20, and civis. So one of the things that happened when I came to the US was I started thinking about my life post-graduation. The first thing I think when I got on campus that the career services people asked me was, what are you here for? A lot of people go to college, to grow up, have fun, learn something in class, but most importantly, graduate. But for me, the first thing was graduate with a job, specifically with a job. And putting that goal helped me learn about a lot of things I needed to know after college, mainly understanding what it takes to graduate with a job in college. So I won't talk a lot about the process of getting a job, but I'll talk about what happens after you get a job. So Mphande talked about interning at Goldman Sachs. I interned too at Compass Group with a different team, but it was also in technology. Once you get that job, you need CPT. And lucky enough for CPT, there's no fee attached to it unless you're at a school that requires you to take a course to have CPT. So the most important thing about CPT is you need to apply early, track the dates, and talk to your DSO. And you need to keep all your I-20s from the moment you get the first one and go to the visa interview, and all the CPTs, OPTs, and every time you travel. So, and then OPT. There's a fee attached to OPT, and I didn't write it in this presentation just because it changes year by year. So this is something for you to follow up on. Make sure, I'd say junior year, you know how much applying for OPT is, the 90-day window on OPT, the requirements for OPT, the jobs you need to get OPT, and then STEM OPT is a different process altogether. That is a different kinds of steps to get that, which is also 90 days. I will hop on applying for all of these, CPT, OPT, service transfer, really early, just because things don't move as fast as you like them to. And one of the things that happened to me, personal story, is I applied for my CPT a bit late, and it also came a bit later. So 10 days before the start of my job at Compass Group, I was still waiting on my CPT. And you can just imagine how I felt, knowing you have to be in the office with all your documents and you don't have them. So applying early for OPT and STEM OPT, and also I-20 and civis. If you're gonna do a postgrad degree, master's, PhD, your I-20 has to be transferred to another school. So you have to have a really good understanding of how this process works by keeping in touch with the DSO, the DHS website, and also seeking out the information you need for this. So I'd really hop on, apply early, track the dates, and talk to your DSO, talk to the DSO, and also your friends who have gone through, or friends, colleagues, mentors who've also gone through the same process as this. I'll also talk about, I'll do my slides in reverse order. So find your champions. And by this, I mean finding your mentors and sponsors. A lot of you will ask me what a mentor is. So a mentor is there to guide you, to help you build up your confidence and to help you identify opportunities you traditionally wouldn't have seen by yourself. And this is mainly because they have the leadership qualities they need to mentor someone. They have the experience and they have the knowledge to take you through that process. I'll talk about sponsors. Sponsors are people who advocate for you in rooms that you never step in. So for example, you have people who you know will say great things about you in whatever room you talk about. And I'll talk about my mentorship journey. So I've had different mentors over the period when I came to the US. I wish I had found this paper before I started this meeting, but one of the other things that I wrote down when I started college, like literally first semester, was find a mentor. And I've had different mentors over the years, which serve different purposes. I had a mentor who helped me get my first internship. So this is the kind of mentor that helps you. And these are mainly like staff and professors at your university or school. So you find them in the classroom, you know, on campus, career services. So they guide you through the process of being professional, writing your first resume, your first behavioral interview, getting ready for a technical interview and stuff like that. So it's really important that you get a mentor. I'll say that again. It is really important that you get a mentor. And this is mainly because you need that knowledge that you don't have. And a lot of people are willing to mentor you if you are willing to be mentored. So you have to be really proactive about and intentional too about finding the right mentor at the right time. And Mphande said something similar to this, and she wishes she had friends around her. So these are called peer mentors. I talked about an academic mentor, which is a professor or someone who works at career services. But mostly when you get out of college and you start working your first job, you need a professional mentor. And there are two types of professional mentors you need. An aspirational one. So someone who's really high up in leadership. So a VP of technology or someone who has some weight to their name. I call them mentors slash sponsors because they play both roles really well. At most companies, this is your direct manager. You need a mentor outside of your company. And this is mainly someone who has had a lot of experience outside of your company and has a really good understanding of working on teams, on technology teams, or whatever team you're joining, and a really good understanding of building and maintaining relationships. Someone who will help you, for example, I had a situation at work where one of my colleagues asked for a recommendation. Very confusing because I was really new to the team, but they asked for a recommendation for me. And that recommendation was going to go to someone, her manager, which is, you know, not my manager. And I was thinking to myself, am I overstepping my boundaries by, you know, writing this recommendation? I'd prefer she ask my manager. And this is a reservation I had. I shared my text with my mentor talking about like this situation I was in. And she was like, in corporate, you should expect someone you worked with closely, especially to ask for a recommendation from you. This is something new, you know, thinking from my own perspective, or like why would someone ask for a recommendation for me as a new grad? But you know, people who have a good understanding of that will also let you know, because she was like, you know, write the recommendation, but also CC your manager on that recommendation so she knows you wrote a recommendation for that other person on your team. Also finding cultivating mentors. You don't need only one mentor. So for myself, I have 3 mentors right now, and I'm also cultivating another relationship with the 4th mentor. One of them works in HR, interesting because I'm in data engineering. And from her, I get mostly about building relationships, about, you know, working with others on a team, being a team player. I have a technology mentor who understands the technical parts of working as an engineer, you know, presenting to other engineers, presenting to the team and stakeholders. I have a mentor that I work with who works with me on a personal level, understanding things like finance, your 401k and things like that. So you need a mentor for different things. And the next thing is the most important, thing really is finding a mentor. Finding a mentor can be done in a couple of different ways. I'd say the first way is to, if you're in college, obviously you have your professor. So building a relationship with them through office hours, going after class, going to events on campus where maybe companies are coming to recruit. So that kind of stuff. The second one is going to networking events. Every city, major city, definitely has networking events, but even if it's outside of your city, you can go online and go to these interest events where companies are talking about their products or stuff like that. And from there, I think the most important thing is following up. If you meet someone in a room somewhere on Zoom or online, you can, try and connect with them on LinkedIn, ask for their LinkedIn, connect with them, and then send a follow-up. I met you here and there, I was really interested about what we talked about. Can you have another conversation to follow up? This is how I found one of my mentors. The other two of my mentors, I found them through a program called TechPact. So I applied for this program that helps, minorities in technology to get mentors. And this was really important for me because, I found two mentors from the same program. And those people are, VP or manager of really Fortune 500 companies. A lot of experience, a lot of patience, and a lot of knowledge that I get from those people. And when you're finding a mentor, don't ask for a job. Don't get in a meeting with, senior manager at Amazon for, their Amazon product and say, I'm looking for a job. The first thing you should do is be interested in them, in their work and what they do. So just ask them, what's your day-to-day like? What do you do? What does your company do? What are some of the problems you're facing and how are you solving them? Get interested in what they're doing. Inadvertently, you will build a relationship that then leads to mentorship with those people. And the final thing that didn't put in a slide is sometimes when you don't know what to do, I'd advise you to use ChatGPT as your mentor. Sometimes when I have questions, I ask ChatGPT. Like, for example, I have a meeting with my mentor today. I've been going through this at work, behind schedule on the task. How can I present this problem to my mentor so that we can have a talk? But also sometimes ChatGPT will give you a solution to that problem. I see I'm running out of time, so we'll talk about one of the things that Mphande touched on, so which is leveling up for the workplace. She talked about how she leveled up for working at Goldman Sachs on two different teams. This involves observing, which is, getting at the company and seeing their culture, adapting when she talked about putting herself out there, marketing herself, communicating what she wants. She wouldn't have moved from the asset team to the technology business analyst or business insights team without communicating what she wants and what she needs from her experience at that job. The next thing is, building a resume is obviously important. You should start that at college. Like, honestly, by the time you get to senior year, doing a resume should be the easiest thing you can do. Your LinkedIn is really important. Build your brand through your LinkedIn. Post really, I'd say stay professional, but post your wins, also lessons from any of the things you do on and off campus. Your elevator pitch, how you introduce yourself, how you show yourself out there is really important. And also soft skills, which are really important, like teamwork, flexibility, clarity, in the way you speak, in the way you communicate, your emails, your follow-ups, and all those things. It's really important. And if you don't know how to do these things, I'd also go back to, you have to be proactive about how you do this. It's either find a mentor or you find sources to learn through these things. I think all of you are proactive by being in this meeting, which is one of the most important steps, when you want to show you're proactive and they're getting ready to level up to the next level of graduating college and getting into corporate America. So networking with intention, keyword, intention. Everything you do inside, outside of class, with your life has to be tied to an intention. What's your goal for graduating college? You're going to college to get a degree, but why? You want to do a job or get a job in technology. Why? The intention is to make money, to better yourself. It can be anything that ties to what resonates with you, but make sure everything you do is with intention. the events you go to, you follow up emails. You don't follow up with everyone asking them to be a mentor. You have to see a quality in them that you're saying, I want to be like this person. And also cultivating professional relationships will be really important for your success, not only now, but in the future. Last word would be, it's not about what you know, it's about who you know and who knows you. So that's all I have for my presentation. And I'll take the questions at the end of the presentation.
Thank you. Thank you, Tanaka. Thank you
Yeah.
again for that. So we're just going to move again quickly into our next speaker. So we have ample time for questions. Our next speaker is Shemaiah. Shemaiah is a graduate of Alabama A&M University, and she is originally from Kitwe, Zambia, where she studied electrical engineering with a concentration in computer engineering. In university, she was involved in multiple organizations and projects, including leading 2 engineering clubs and serving as the International Students Association for 2 years. She's currently working as a software engineer at Microsoft, where she also had completed some internships. In her free time, she enjoys all things art, music, and dance, as well as being in nature, and will happily hike a mountain, spend time drawing at home on the weekend, or learn the latest Zambian Kopala dance on request. So, Shemaiah, I'm just going to leave it to you. I see you and Tanaka like hiking. Y'all should meet and go climb a mountain or something.
Very much, yeah.
Take it away.
That's a good idea. Hi. So thank you for the introduction, Zoe. I think for me, I really love some of the things that everything that Tanaka and Mphande said, and I'm just going to try and talk about some of the things I was thinking of by building on what they've talked about. So I think the 3 main things I'm kind of going to focus on is, I guess, like preparation, which is something Mphande touched on. I'm also going to give some moving tips because I'm kind of like the newest grad among everyone. So moving is very fresh in my mind. And there are a lot of things that I learned along the way that I think might be useful if you're frugal like me. And yeah, also just kind of like thinking about what you want to do in the future, which is something Tanaka talked about as well. So I would say, just jumping off of the mentorship piece that Tanaka had talked about, I was not the person that was like unprepared for graduation in a sense because of mentors that I had. I had a mentor that told me in freshman year that you need to have, by the time you graduate, you should, she's American, but she told me you should have at least $5,000 or $7,000, $10,000 saved before you graduate. Mind you, I came to this country with $100 in my pocket, and I was looking at this lady like, where am I going to get $5,000, $10,000 from? And she told me, like, by the time you start your internships, you'll be working most of the time. I worked on campus all 4 years. You'll be able to save that money, or at least some of it, if you're like really prepared and actually actively thinking about saving. Because like $20 a month saving for 4 years, that's like, I don't know, somebody can do the math and put it in the chat. That can help you reach that goal. So I felt really ready by the time I graduated because I listened to my mentor, and I was prepared for things that happen immediately. Although some of them surprised me a little bit, like why a mattress is $300, $400, $500, $1,000. That was crazy to me. But there were other things that I was like, okay, yeah, I already knew that I had to pay for OPT. $500 was like, I already saved the $500. So paying for OPT, because OPT also has a very small window to apply for. So if you can't find the $500 within the window that you're supposed to apply for and you miss it, then you're not able to apply. So there are some things that happen immediately. Like, for example, once you graduate, you have to look for an apartment, and apartments also have application fees. Sometimes it's $300, $500, and most of them will also do a credit check, which goes back to what Mphande was talking about being good on your credit. You don't need to go crazy. Personally, I'm very frugal, and in Zambia, we pay for everything by cash. So I was scared to get a credit card when I first came to the US. But if you manage it well, and maybe just put your phone bill on your credit card just so you can have some credit utilization and have a credit score by the time you graduate. When you're applying for apartments, at least they'll show that, okay, this person has had a credit card for so much time, and this is somebody that can pay back money when it's needed. Moving and shipping is another cost, depending on whether you are a diva who has a lot of clothes, or you are a simple guy who just has 3 suitcases. You know, everything costs money depending on what part of the country you're going to move to. And I moved from Alabama to Washington State, which is like all the way across the country. And even though I was fortunate enough to be employed, I went into the job market straight away by a company that pays for my relocation. It happens that sometimes you don't get the relocation money exactly when you need it. And a lot of times you would get relocation money, sometimes even after you've already started. No, but now at that time, sorry, I'm not speaking English. At that time, you have already moved, you're already in the state, and then they're giving you the money when you don't even need it anymore because you have already moved. So now what do you do? You know, that kind of thing. And another thing also that I think is important for people to know is my mom always told me that money is what you have, not what you have not yet been given. I had a friend who had a situation where he was expecting his relocation money, but somehow because of the date, because I'm sure in the US people get paid bi-weekly, because of the date that he started, he could only get paid 1 month after he started. And to make matters worse, he made a mistake in his payroll. Now he was going into 2 months without being paid, and needing to like pay rent for the first month when you get there. Depending on your state, the average could be $1,000, $2,000 per month, and you need to pay your first month of rent when you get to an apartment, of course. Yeah, luckily for him, he had some full-time friends who lent him some money and he was able to stay in his house. But imagine yourself in a situation like that where you're not really expecting what to do. And I don't say this to scare people because everybody's situation is different and where you move might really make the difference between whether you need $2,000 or whether you need $5,000. If you're going to move to California, you probably need to $5,000, $6,000 because the average rent there is $2,000 or $3,000. If you're moving to Alabama, you probably just need a $2,000 because rent could be $700 in Alabama. So all of those things you need to put into mind about where you're going and what that might mean for you in terms of cost. And yeah, shout out to LaDonna for making me think of some of those things before I started because that really helped the stress be less for me. So I went into the job market immediately, like I mentioned, but if you were to choose graduate school, there are also costs involved with not only applying to graduate school, but preparing for it. So I was like not really sure whether I was going to go to grad school or work. So I actually was applying to grad school. And that's another thing that costs money. If you want to go to a school that requires the GRE or the MCAT, depending on your field, exam fees could be $300. Application fees on average are anywhere from $30 to $50, all the way to $150 if you're trying to go to Stanford or universities on the West Coast. And if you want to apply to multiple schools, that could build up. But of course, I'm a frugal person. So just now, I'm going to share some tips on how to avoid some of these fees. But this is like for you to open up your mind about some of the financial impacts of moving from one state to another if you don't have if you haven't prepared or you don't necessarily have fee waivers and that kind of stuff, So yeah, that's some of the things that you would think about if you're going to graduate school, and also I talked some of the things that you would think about if you're moving into a full-time role immediately after college. So firstly, I'm just going to talk about moving tips. So, depending on you, I know some people are kind of like, oh, me, when I go somewhere, the bed needs to be new. Personally, as long as I'm sleeping, a mattress, of course, the mattress should be new, yeah, or at least lightly used or something like that. But, there are a lot of places where you can get good discounts on furniture. Stores like Habitat for Humanity offer secondhand beds, couches, furniture for very discounted prices. And you could also look into thrift stores like Goodwill and other local thrift stores to find like other things like a study table or your chairs, that kind of stuff. Another thing, because that costs money, another thing that's actually really nice that I recently found out about were these buy nothing groups, which are like groups that you can find for your city where people are looking to get rid of things very quickly and are giving them away for free. So there's a buy nothing group for, let's say, you just search on Facebook, buy nothing New York, and there'll be things there. People will say, I'm moving out, I'm giving away this bed frame, moving out, giving away this. And if you are patient, you can actually furnish your house from a buy nothing group. And sometimes you can even post like, oh, I'm looking for a study table. Is anybody giving one away? Of course, don't be a hound and try to get everything from everyone. But because of the society in the US where a lot of people have money and are looking to give away things, there's an opportunity for you to use that to your advantage and get the things for free. So personally, my couch, free. My ergonomic study chair, I got it. That one was a gift, but I was kind of like, I wish I told my friend to buy me another gift, because when I went to Habitat for Humanity, I found another chair which was free. I'm like, if I made my friend buy me something else for my graduation. And yeah, Facebook Marketplace is also a good place to go. And the last thing is for graduate school application in terms of like going around some of those costs. I know there are some fee waiver warriors in here. I know some people personally that have managed to get fee waivers. I'm one of them for some of the schools that I applied to. Very useful way you can get fee waivers to apply for grad school is by attending like info sessions from the school. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, if you attend this session, you get a fee waiver, or la da 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 da. Sometimes you can also just ask, like, please give me a fee waiver. And sometimes they'll give you, sometimes they'll say no. Other times, if you're part of certain like societies, you might get opportunities to like, I don't know, travel, attend virtual info sessions, apply for campus visits and scholarships. And all of that stuff can reduce your costs, because I think you never really know like how many schools you want to apply for. And so if you want to apply for more, it costs more. But if you get some fee waivers and stuff like that, then it'll be less. Another thing is knowing your timeline. It's just in the same way there's a timeline for going into jobs, there's also a timeline for graduate school. The deadlines are at certain times. So meaning you might need to be ready by, let's say, December if you're going to the next year, August. Applications are in December, January. If you're applying for spring, the timeline is different and all of that time. And also depending on the school you're going to and your graduation date, there might be time in between when you start and when school starts. So you need to ask yourself as well, like, where am I going to be? These are hard questions as international students who sometimes don't have a network, but thinking about them well in advance, if you know that that's something that you might find yourself in, can help reduce stress, even though the question itself is stressful as well, because I understand the struggle of thinking about where you might be. And I was fortunate enough to have people who offered to host me, but there was a situation where I was wondering where I was going to be during certain times. And so also think about funding. Not every graduate program is funded, but there are research opportunities, TA programs that will pay for you, because yeah, the average cost of graduate school without anything is like $30,000 to $100,000, depending on where you are, of course, Alabama versus California. And you think about it, you think about it based on like where you're going to be and stuff like that. And also now coming back to what Mphande said about building relationships and getting recommendations, you need recommendation letters for graduate school. Most of the times, at least 2 or 3 for each school that you're thinking of applying to. And you also need to prepare like prepare personal statements and essays and all that kind of thing. So all these things are kind of like things that, will come and attack you if you don't know them ahead of time. And of course, it's very normal to be surprised by certain things. Like, for example, I was surprised when they charged me $50 for a credit check when I was applying for my apartment. But, at least I knew ahead of time. I didn't know that even just to get into an apartment, apart from paying rent, you also pay an application fee. If your application is rejected, you now pay again, all those things like that. So yeah, I think even though some of these things, just like a piece of encouragement as I end, even though some of these things may feel like, oh my gosh, this is very, yeah, security deposit is another thing. This is very like, this can be very like overwhelming to think about all at once, but the more time you give yourself to like know these things, then it can be a bit more relaxed. Because even though I started off by talking about how I was kind of prepared for these things because of things that people had been telling me before. I was not 100% prepared, and there were things that are still like a surprise to me when I started like moving in and doing this and doing that. Yeah, and you know, everything that comes along with that. So yeah, I think that's all I have to say. We should leave time for questions, so I'll be quiet now.
Thank you so much, Shemaiah. Thank you again, Shemaiah, Tanaka, and Mphande. So we're gonna get into a time of questions. If there's anybody who has questions and you'd like to unmute yourself, feel free. And if you want to direct it to a particular speaker, you can also mention that. But if it's just a general question across the board, that works as well. Or you can type it in the chat if you have a question. Yeah. Anybody want to take a shot at it? Okay. You can unmute yourself.
Hi guys. Thank you so much, everyone. Like I learned so much that I wasn't even thinking about, so I appreciate you guys. My question is mainly for Tanaka. You mentioned having a sponsor, and I guess to everyone as well if you do have a sponsor. My question is, so of course, like a sponsor is also your mentor. So let's say you have a mentor and you want them to be your sponsor, like, do you have to ask them, like, be my sponsor? Or is it more like you pick someone who is in the position and you just like, you know, like because they're in the position, you expect them to sponsor you, or how does that go, I guess? Yeah.
So a sponsorship relationship starts as a mentorship, or at least for me. So I won't claim to be 100% expert on this, but the first thing is a sponsor relationship starts as a mentorship. And in some ways, when someone is mentoring you, you're approving yourself to them. So it's a give and take relationship. They want to pour into you, like Mphande said, let people invest in you. They want to invest in you, but they want to see that investment come into fruition. So if your mentor mentors you in terms of you need to get out more, get out of your comfort zone and, get a promotion this year, I think you can. And you don't put in the work to get that promotion. If they're put in a room where people are making decisions about who's getting a promotion at the company, they won't necessarily fight for you because you haven't proved yourself to them. So the first thing is that mentor has to be in a position to sponsor. So that's why I recommend getting someone who's in a position to sponsor. So if you in a meeting, if you're at your company, it's mostly skip level. So it's your manager's manager's manager. So two steps above. That's what I recommend. And that person, you should have, a mentorship relationship with them of some sort, such that if a raise comes up or a team wants to give out bonus, you're not in that room when those decisions are made, but they can say, I know Kutemwa, she's really been working hard. She's really been showing potential. We can promote her, give her a raise. So that's what I say. Make sure whenever you're in a mentorship relationship, you're not wasting the mentor's time. You're following through on what they're saying, especially the good things. I think most of us have a really good way of, getting the good things that we can apply to our lives professionally that mentors are advising. So yeah.
Thank you.
All right, there is a question in the chat that says, are there any tips on apartment hunting, especially like in avoiding scams?
Can I take this one for a little bit? I did not get scammed, but I do know some people got scammed. So the most important thing about apartment hunting is time. Take your time looking for apartment. There are places you can look for apartments. I do not recommend using Facebook Marketplace, but that's just a personal, because the person got scammed off Facebook Marketplace. So the apartments.com, Zillow, Google Maps, and also touring apartments. The other thing is do not pay a deposit for someone to hold the apartment for you. that's not how it works. You apply for an apartment, you get approved or rejected, and then you pay a deposit after you sign a contract. If it looks like it's not professional, it probably is a scam. So that's all I have to say.
I agree with Tanaka. And maybe the only thing I can add is making use of like online places like Reddit. So I was on Reddit looking for what people in the city had seen about the apartments that I was going to tour or look at. Some of them looked nice. I remember there was this apartment, it was so cheap, it was in my range, everything. And then I went into Reddit and everybody who lived there talked about their whole life being stolen from them, like cars broken into, stuff like that. So all those things you need to think about, especially maybe if you're a single woman or you're living by yourself, all those things are really important.
Okay. Another question is, if you were to give advice to your freshman or sophomore self in any discipline, what could it be? So I think each of you can take this one.
I can go first. So the most important thing is get used to rejection. I think between myself, if I go on my email that I used to apply internships for and just type regret to inform you, I'll get over 150 hits on that search. I applied to so many internships, positions, jobs, and rejection is just redirection. So go to the next one. You only need 1 year to get a job, not 10. You might not get the job at the company you want to go to, but you will get a yes somewhere. So just follow the steps of getting out of your comfort zone by finding a mentor, a sponsor, applying relentlessly, and also leveling up. If you get rejected, it's probably for a reason, but let that reason not be your lack of experience or a lack of something else that doesn't get you the job.
I can go next. So this is related to Tanaka's response about getting used to rejection. But before that, put yourself out there. So don't be afraid. I've seen so many, like it's amazing. The new seasons, freshmen, sophomores are doing all these things. If you're not, don't be scared to try, even just to apply. Start by applying. Do all those things. That's one thing I wish I could tell myself, like, go ahead and do it. Don't fear, oh no, I don't meet those requirements. Oh no, I don't do this. Just go ahead and apply. Put yourself out there. Be confident. You are going where you're going for a reason, whether you're in the US right now or not. Go ahead and apply and do that right now as much as you can.
Okay.
Hello guys.
Hello.
So my question is on OPT. I understand that you have 90 days, like grace period from the time you graduate until you get your OPT. So if you're running out of time, like in that period, 90-day period, do you recommend like volunteering so just to maintain status? Or what's your advice on that?
I am not an immigration attorney, but I will give some advice that I've seen people doing. So you have 90 days, and from the context of the question, you don't have a job or another opportunity like going to another school to extend your lawful residence in the US. In that context, the most important thing is not to panic. You have 90 days to look for a job, and I personally think it's almost enough to get at least one job. What you should do at that point is to focus on, if you focus on two things, either going to another school and transferring your service to remaining status or look for a job. I think you should do them simultaneously. And when it comes to looking for a job, no code apply. That's my rule. Get a referral, get someone at that company you're applying to see your application and make sure your resume goes through the first screening call or whatever software they use. You do that by going on LinkedIn and looking at hiring managers or people who are working in positions you're interested in and reaching out to them, not for saying, I want a job or else I'll be deported in 90 days. But like I said, build the relationship, talk to them, tell them your interest. And then eventually after 2 or 3 calls, say, can you put me in touch with the hiring manager or the HR at your company to see if there are any opportunities that align with my interest? Because from everything or every conversation we've had, I see that I'd like to work for a company because of these reasons. I should do that relentlessly, over and over again. But I'd say, there are other avenues too. But I'd say the best way is do a lot of research too. Like, if you know someone who was in that situation online, there are a lot of people from especially India and Pakistan that have that experience. So there's something called Day One CPT too, and a lot of other opportunities you can take up on. So just be proactive, don't give up.
Okay, thank you so much. Then there is a question from Adelina. She says, when relocating, moving to a new apartment, how do you avoid living hand to mouth when you have to juggle between rent, taxes, savings, and life's essential need? Shemaiah.
Yeah, I would say don't feel pressure to get everything all at once. You only need a mattress first. You don't need to buy a bed frame. Maybe, in fact, if you don't have $300, $400, $500 for a mattress, get an air mattress for $50 and sleep on it for a month until you're able to do that. I didn't get a mattress until like a month after, to be honest. I was sleeping on a mattress and an air mattress for $40 from Target. Don't like the first few months, of course, you need to pinch your pockets. There will be some stress in terms of managing your expenses. But if you can wait to get certain things, then just do that. Get a pillow, put a chitenge, or if you're from Zambia, like a cloth on the floor, and sit on the pillow for your lunch until you're able to get a couch or find one for free. So I think it's a lot of course, planning, doing what you can with the money that you have, but also not putting yourself under pressure to be prepared to have everything all at once. And also give yourself grace, because there's a lot of stress about learning about benefits, if what companies have this and that. Like all the financial things can be very stressful learning them all at once, because we're international students and everything is new. Maybe these things are not there in our countries. So you also need to give yourself time to learn about them. And it's okay to make mistakes sometimes. But as long as you give yourself the time to learn about what you should be doing and don't put yourself under pressure.
Okay. Very quickly, another question was, wait. How do we navigate STEM OPT after graduation, especially with this administration? This person says they're completing their STEM MBA in August this year.
I think that's the question I took on.
Right.
There's a guy called Omcar on Instagram. I think if I find him, I'll send it to you, Zoe, so I can send to a person in the group. Talks a lot about, this situation of not finding something in 90 days. It's really good advice.
And then another one is, is it always that your future job placement will always be in the chosen major? If so, how can I prepare myself to cast my net wider and prepare for the uncertainty?
I'd like to know what the major is, but if that person can say it really quickly.
That was Moses Banda.
Okay, I'll assume it's STEM or finance. So Bande is a really good example. She worked in finance or computer engineering. Computer engineering casts a wide net in terms of it's a STEM major, first of all. So you can do a lot from hardware to software. But what's most important is the skill set you have. My mentor freshman year, I remember when I started, I wanted to be one thing, and that is a product manager. I'm definitely not working in product management right now. But what my mentor told me was get as much experience as you can while in college to prepare yourself for the opportunities out there. I won't list all the certifications I have, but I have like about 40 something certifications. Yeah, you can tell I was really busy. And the whole point of doing all that stuff was to make sure you are diverse as you can be in your experience. What got me the job I have at Campus Group right now is I had done a certification that I forgot about for data analytics from Google. And that's literally the certification that got me the job. And my major was computer engineering, two different things. So get as much experience as you can outside of your major, but also within your major, it casts such a wide net. So be open to new experiences. Also, for the first job, don't expect to get something that's exactly in your major. It has to align with your major for you to get OPT, but don't box yourself in and say, I am software engineering. I'll never do anything else. Because what that does is it narrows about 5% of the jobs on the market in the US are available for international students. If you say software engineering, you're going to like 1% or sub 1%. So don't narrow the window for yourself. Open yourself to as many opportunities as you can by having a diversity of experience.
Okay, so I've shared the LinkedIn pages of our speakers, so feel free to connect with them if you have any further questions that you need to ask them. If there's a particular thing that you want to know, I'm sure that our speakers are very willing to help and very willing to lead you in the direction, even if they don't have the answers. So we'll take any last minute questions before we close.
So I think Adelina asked about H-1B visas.
Okay, cool.
So I don't know what specifically you want. Let me know if I'll touch on everything. So the process of H-1B visa, at least how I know it works, where I'm at right now, your company is going to get all your information. And I know for people like maybe even you, if you right before you graduate, they get your information so they can run you through that lottery. So they'll put your names in. They just finished the process recently. So during March, they put your names in. And the first week of April, ending of March, they release the names of people who've been selected. So there are two caps. There's a master's cap and there's another cap, which is everyone else in the US who are being sponsored and international. So this is where the master's cap, people who have a master's degree from a United States university are going to be put. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys, but it should be 25,000. Then the others around that number, then everyone else is put in that regular cap. So after that, you get the names. Sometimes, well, all the times I've been through it, sometime later they have extra spots which they fill out and they run the lottery again. Then for people who get the lottery, the H-1B visa, they can't travel, I believe, until October when everything is complete. Then after October, they go back to their country and can get their H-1B stamp or whatever it is. So during that time, they'll be making sure your paperwork is set so the process isn't cut in between. And for everyone else who doesn't get it, you go through the process again. If you have a STEM degree, you have your OPT, STEM OPT extension. So you have a couple more tries. If someone is not STEM, you only maybe have one or two. So let me know if there's anything else, Adelina, or if there's anything else I missed, Tanaka and Shemaiah.
I'd say there's an adjustment form. So in some cases, you don't have to go back to your country, but pretty much got everything.
Thank you so much. I think we can take one more question if there's any. Okay, I guess that's it. Well, thank you so much, Tanaka, Mphande, and Shemaiah, all of you. Oh, question in the chat. Car or no car, when is the right time to buy one?
I think I have a car, so I'll say this. I got my car like 8 months after graduation. Long story, I didn't have enough money to buy the car. Really important thing is when it comes to buying a car is number one, can you afford it? And can you afford it? Seems simple, but it's not, can you afford buying the car? Can you afford buying the car, maintenance, fuel, and insurance? I pay insurance. I'm not shy to say if you're gonna post this on YouTube, but I'll say I pay very expensive insurance. And that's a cost I didn't foresee. So I'd say when buying a car, the most important thing is, can you afford a car? And number two is, what's the use pay dollar you're gonna get out of the car? If you're living in a city like, Birmingham, Alabama, where your campus is like 40 minutes away from the nearest Walmart, it does make sense buying a car. If you live in a city like Charlotte, where Harris Teeter is 5 minutes away from your campus by train, you don't really need to buy a car because at that point it's more expensive than taking public transport. So you really need a car if you live in a place where you can commute from one place to the next really easily. I'd say that. And also, can you afford it? In college, I'd say get a license. Definitely get a license because that'll make your insurance cheaper once you get a car. But don't get a car freshman year because that might be a burden you're not ready for. And you have to pay taxes on your car too. So that's also another expense. It's called highway tax in North Carolina. I'm not sure in other states what it's called.
Thank you so much. Again, we really appreciate you guys for taking the time out of your busy schedules, waking up early to be here. Thank you for just sharing your journey and personal advice and so many tips. I learned so much, and I'm sure I can see in the comments that people have also learned a lot. So thank you so much. We really appreciate you guys. Let's show some love to the speakers, guys. But yeah, this has been the end of our session. Thank you so much to everyone for joining. And we'll be having a session on May the 3rd. This is going to be a session for the New Seasons Youth Program. So this session is hosted by the New Seasons Youth Program, as shared at the beginning of this meeting. It's an organization that helps people from the African and Caribbean to come, areas to come and study in the US. So if you want to learn more about it, or if you want to just know so you can share it with other people, please be sure to join that session. And this session will be uploaded to our channel. I'll type it in the chat. If you want to find the channel, you can type in on YouTube at NSYPSAT, and you also find other sessions that we've had in the past. But this is it. Thank you so much again, guys. I hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And there will be a survey after this, after the meeting ends. So please be sure to answer that so we can know how to make the session better for you guys. But thank you, and shout out to all our speakers again. We love you guys.